Welcome to the True Assassins podcast. We're diving deep today, folks, into some seriously dark territory in Orlando Mads Bryan's True Kill.
Yeah, you know when you finish a book and you just have to sit with it for a minute? That's True Kill for me.
Oh, absolutely. And the stories we're about to unpack, they definitely stick with you. One's all about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that classic duality thing.
Right, and the other follows the Huntsman from Snow White, but not exactly the Disney version.
Definitely not. True Kill takes these familiar figures and twists them into something, well, monstrous.
But the really fascinating part is how both stories grapple with this twisted sense of justice. Individuals wrestling with their own darkness and then with the corruption around them.
And ultimately choosing to become, well, instruments of death. So we're going to take a scalpel to their motivations, their methods, the whole bloody business.
It's going to get dark, but also really thought-provoking, I think.
Oh, for sure. Buckle up, folks, because we're starting with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And True Kill throws out any idea of a happy ending right from the start.
Yeah, Jekyll's struggle to suppress Hyde, it doesn't lead to a cure or anything like that. Instead, it takes this, horrifying turn, as Mads Bryan puts it. Hyde becomes this, lethal vigilante.
So it's not just Jekyll losing control. It's like Hyde's monstrous nature is harnessed, given a purpose.
Exactly. And the targets, they're not random. Hyde goes after the people Jekyll despises the most, the exploitative industrialist, the corrupt politician.
Almost like Jekyll's transferring his own moral outrage onto Hyde, letting his dark side act it out in the most brutal way imaginable.
Yeah, and the book makes a point of calling these guys' actions monstrous distortions, which, echoes the whole Jekyll-Hyde thing. But it gets even more chilling. True Kill actually frames Hyde's violence as a grim purge, like society deserved it,
Oh, wow. So he's not just a monster. He's a monster on a mission. And it says the killings were done with this brutal efficiency. No hesitation, no remorse.
Like an instrument, yeah. But even with all that, it's not like Jekyll's completely gone.
Right. Yeah, True Kill hints that some part of him is still in there, struggling. Like there's this one line about a child crying or pleading eyes, and it says the fog of transformation. It wasn't always perfect.
God, that's chilling. Like, even in the midst of this brutal purge, Jekyll's conscience is still trying to break through.
But Hyde's got his own space too, right? Like a physical manifestation of his warped sense of justice.
Oh, yeah. The book describes this macabre trophy room. Totally opposite to Jekyll's meticulous notes and research. Instead, you've got, a bloodied watch, a locket ripped from someone's neck.
Okay, that's just wow. And meanwhile, Jekyll himself is deteriorating.
Right. By day, he's gaunt and paranoid. The murders, they've gone from this cold, calculated purge to something that's poisoning him from the inside.
Trapped by his own creation. It's like the more Hyde acts, the more Jekyll loses himself. And then things take this really interesting turn with the arrival of Jack the Ripper.
Right, the Butcher of Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Suddenly, there's this other monster loose in London, and strangely, it gives Jekyll a twisted sense of relief.
Almost like having another bogeyman around makes Hyde seem less unique, less horrifying.
Maybe. True Kill seems to suggest that it gives Jekyll a layer of anonymity, a way to distance himself from the full weight of his actions.
But that can only last so long. Eventually, he has to face the truth, and that comes in the form of his confession.
And this confession is really important because it's not about remorse for the murders themselves. It's about Jekyll recognizing that his own twisted morality created Hyde.
So he's not asking for forgiveness for the killings, but for the hypocrisy of his own so-called righteous violence.
Exactly. And that leads to this incredibly powerful moment when he chooses to refuse the potion, to not transform back into Hyde.
He wants to face judgment as a whole person, not just the good doctor.
Yeah.
And he ends up denying Hyde one last time.
Yeah, Hyde's fighting for control, desperate to unleash more chaos, more violence. But Jekyll holds him back, even as the police are breaking down the door.
So what do they find?
A broken man, surrounded by the evidence of his duality. You've got Jekyll's notes, Hyde's trophies, the whole tragic picture, and then, of course, the trial.
And the public is just fixated on the monster, right? The sensationalism of Hyde.
Oh, absolutely. Jekyll's confession, his admission that it all stemmed from his darkness, that's too much for people to handle.
Easier to focus on the monster, the external evil, than to acknowledge the darkness within.
And ultimately, Hyde hangs for the crimes. But True Kill leaves this question hanging in the air. Was he a monster, or was he a twisted product of Jekyll's own flawed morality?
A chilling ending to a chilling story. But there's another side to this coin, right? This other narrative from True Kill about the Huntsman from Snow White.
Right. And his transformation starts with an act of mercy, sparing Snow White's life.
And the book says that act basically shatters the man he was. He trains his axe for a bow, and his skills as a hunter, they take on this whole new purpose.
He becomes a hunter of injustice, basically, stalking the real villains of the fairy tale world.
And the fairy tale world of True Kill is pretty grim. It's not all happy endings and singing birds.
No, it's full of corrupt kings, power-hungry lords, all that classic fairy tale stuff, but turned up to 11.
So the huntsman becomes this, like, shadow guardian, leaving behind these macabre little calling cards, a white feather, a carved apple.
Right, and he doesn't want glory. He doesn't want to lead a revolution. It's all about balance, a life for a life. He even rejects calls to be a hero.
But then he crosses paths with Snow White again, and it's not the same innocent girl he spared in the woods.
She's been through some stuff, hardened by the world, and they form this uneasy alliance bound by a shared goal rather than forgiveness or anything.
So it's not a fairy tale reunion. It's more like two survivors teaming up to fight a common enemy.
Exactly, and together they become this disruptive force shaking up the established order.
A warning to all the tyrants and abusers of power. But the huntsman story, it circles back to the queen.
Yeah, his final hunt leads him back to where it all began. And it's him, not Snow White, who delivers the final blow.
Driven by revenge for making him do those horrible things.
The book specifically says it wasn't revenge. It was this grim duty, a sense that it had to be him to end it.
But even after the queen is gone, his work isn't finished. There's always going to be another injustice, another tyrant.
Right. And so he vanishes back into the forest, this shadowy figure forever marked by the darkness he's confronted.
So we've got these two figures, both confronting the darkness, but in such different ways. Jekyll tries to control his inner monster, only to unleash it on what he perceives as societal evils. The huntsman, he becomes a monster himself, but one dedicated to fighting for justice.
And it makes you think, doesn't it? Is there a difference between their brands of righteous violence?
And is there any true escape from the darkness, whether it's inside us or out in the world? We all have those dualities, those hidden parts of ourselves.
Exactly. What choices would we make when faced with that darkness?
That's the real question True Kill leaves us with.
Thanks for joining us today on the True Assassins podcast, folks.
And be sure to rate and follow for more addictive cloak and dagger stories.